Hello friends, today we are going to talk about an excretory system which is seen in human beings. In this unit I am going to cover about the definition of excretion, the various nitrogenous waste which are present as an excretory product in the system, and we also study about the excretory system in human beings. Excretory system. Elimination of the nitrogenous waste in the particular form is called as an excretion. The excretion may include a certain types of waste like urea, uric acid and ammonia. When we talk about these type of nitrogenous waste, few nitrogenous waste are easily dissolvable in water, but some require more amount of water to dissolve. Hence, when we talk about these excretory products, the ammonia is the most toxic form and require more amount of water, whereas urea and uric acid may require less amount of water when compared to that of ammonia, and they are less toxic when compared to that of ammonia. Depending upon what type of excretory products present in an organism, it is mainly divided into three types known as amniotic organisms, ureotelic organisms, and uricotelic organisms. So let's talk about the ammoniotelic organisms. See, when we talk about these type of organism, as the name indicates, the ammonia will be the excretory product. These organisms, mainly the organisms which will come under this category, are fishes and aquatic amphibians. Those animals which will live mainly in a water can excrete ammonia as their waste through a process called as diffusion. Next, we will talk about another type of organisms which will possess another type of excretory system called as ureotelic organisms. When we talk about the ureotelic organisms, mainly we will take an example of mammals and terrestrial amphibians. They will excrete urea as their excretory product. Here, the ammonia is converted into urea in the liver. First, there is a conversion of ammonia into the urea in the liver, which is then filtered and excreted through the kidneys. Next is a uricotelic organism. What is this uricotelic organism? Here, the uric acid will be the excretory product. This type of excretory product is seen in reptiles, birds, and some insects also, where there is a minimal loss of water through which the excretion takes place. Now let's talk about the human excretory system. When we talk about the human excretory system, you can see the diagram which is here, where you are seeing, you're actually visualizing the things like two kidneys are present, a pair of ureter is present, there is a urinary bladder and urethra, to which the urine will be passed out of the excretory system. So when we talk about the human excretory system, remember these points: two kidneys, a pair of ureter, urinary bladder, and also urethra, through which the urine is passed out of the excretory system as a waste. Let's talk about the human excretory system, where we are mainly concentrating on kidney. See, as I've said earlier also, the human excretory system has two kidneys, okay, right one and the left one. So when we talk about the kidney, when we take out the section of the kidney, we can see that you can see two surfaces on them. That means two layers on them. One is outer layer and another one is an inner layer. The outer layer is mainly having the function of a capsule, which is just a protecting layer. But when we talk about the inner layer of the kidney, it has some notch through which the blood vessels and nerves enter into the kidney. This is the area where the blood vessels like arteries and veins will enter the kidney, through which the blood is taken into the kidney and away from the kidney. And also the nerves enter through this notch into the kidney. So this is very important, and it is present in the inner layer of the kidney. and there is a broad funnel shaped space which we'll call it as a renal pelvis. We'll talk in detail about the renal pelvis in our future slides. Next is an outer layer, which I've already said you, it is nothing but the capsule, which is mainly protective in function. Next, there are two regions in the kidney. These are very, very important. There are two regions in the kidney. One is cortex and another one is a medulla. I will talk about these two regions in detail. First, we will talk about the medulla. See, when we talk about the kidney is mainly an organ through which an excretion takes place. So, the medulla, where we are talking about one of the region of the kidney, that medulla is divided into some conical masses which we will call it as a medullary pyramid. I will talk in detail about this medulla in our future slides. Next we will talk about another region of the kidney which we will call it as a cortex. See, I said you there is a medullary pyramid which is present in the medullary region. Okay. In between this medullary pyramid, there is an extension which we will call it as a columns of Bertini. These are nothing but the renal column which are present in the kidney. This is about the cortex region, okay? And main important units which are present in the kidney are nothing but the nephrons. Nephrons will play a very, very important functional role in the kidney to excrete the waste products from the kidney. So let's talk in detail about the nephrons in this unit. Okay, just I will brush up. See, in the kidney you have two regions, one is cortex and one is medulla. In the medulla you have certain conical masses which we'll call it as a medullary pyramid. Okay, when we come to the cortex, in the cortex region you can see in between this medullary pyramid there is certain renal columns which are running through the medullary pyramid, which we will call it as a columns of Bertini. These two things you have to remember in the kidney. And another one important point which you have to remember in the kidney is nothing but they have some functional units in them, which we will call it as a nephrons. Nephrons play a very, very important structural and functional role in a kidney. Remember, this nephrons will play a very important role in excretion. Let's talk about the structure of the nephrons. See, when we go in detail about the structure of the nephrons, you can see there are two parts in them, which will namely call it as a glomerulus and renal tubule. When we take about the glomerulus are having two things in them. One is afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole will always carry the oxygenated blood into the kidney, whereas efferent arteriole will always carry the deoxygenated blood from the kidney towards the lungs for its purification, or towards the heart and then towards the lungs for its purification. Next we will talk about an renal tubule. Okay, there are two parts, one is glomerulus and one is renal tubule. Now we are talking about the renal tubule. See, when we talk about the renal tubule will belong, or it begins with a cup-like structure called as Bowman's capsule. Glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule together form a renal corpuscle or a Malpighian tube. Okay. Next, this glomerulus will then continue into a proximal convoluted tubule. Then it will enter into the Henle's loop. Henle's loop is further divided into ascending loop and descending loop. Then this Henle's loop will lead into a distal convoluted tubule, and then that will lead into a collecting duct. So these are the structure of the nephrons, where how the exchange of materials will take place between the blood and how the waste are taken out from the blood. So first there is a glomerulus filtration. Next it will come to the renal corpuscles, where there is a proximal convoluted tubule. Next into the Henle's loop, next into distal convoluted tubule, and next it will enter into a collecting duct, and it will pass out from the collecting duct into an urethra. See, when we talk about the structure of the nephrons, you have to remember there are two types of nephrons which are present. One is a cortical nephrons, another one is a juxtamedullary nephrons. See, when I said you there is a kidney, I also mentioned there are two regions in the kidney. One is cortical region and another one is a medullary region. The cortical region of the kidney will mainly consist of proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, and the renal corpuscle in them. Whereas the medullary region will have only the Henle's loop in them. Is it clear? Next, when we talk about the cortical nephrons, the cortical nephrons are very short and extend to a very little region of the medulla. That means what? The cortical nephrons are more seen in the cortical region and it is less seen towards the medullary region. Whereas juxtamedullary nephrons, the loop of the Henle's loop is too long and it will extend deep into the medullary region. Hence, we will call it as juxtamedullary nephrons. As the name itself indicates, juxtamedullary. Medullary means the loop of the Henle's is very long and it will extend deep into the medullary region. Whereas cortical nephrons, the Henle's loop which is present are too short and extends only to a very little region of the medulla. Hence it is called as cortical nephrons. See, in this diagram I am showing you about the glomerulus filtration, where in this region the glomerulus filtration takes place. Then there is the running of the proximal convoluted tubule, and this together will form a Henle's loop, where you can see a descending loop of the Henle's loop and ascending limb of the Henle's loop, and then the ascending limb will lead into a distal convoluted tubule, which will then continue as in collecting tubule, where the collecting tubule will collect the waste from all the nephrons and send it as an excretory waste out of the body. This is how the nephron will look like, and it is how the diagrammatic representation of the nephron is seen. I guess you people are understanding about the structure of the nephron, and it's how the exchange of materials takes place between the blood and the nephron, and how the waste is removed from the urine depending upon the concentrations, which we will discuss in detail in the next upcoming videos. Okay, let's firstly recap what we have studied in this video. See, first we have explained about and what is an excretion. Then we have learned about different types of nitrogenous waste which are excreted by different type of organisms. Then we have studied about amniotic, ureotelic and uricotelic type of organisms. Later we come across a human excretory system, where we have explained in detail about the kidney and the structural and functional unit of the kidney, that is nothing but the nephrons. So totally in this video we are talking about the kidney as the main excretory as an excretory organ, as well as we have studied about the structure of the nephrons, which are functional and structural unit of an kidney. Thank you.